This day in Philly sports history is proud to be a part of the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network, where passionate fans make powerful content. Check out theclashingconferences.com and join the squad today. What's up, everyone? Welcome to This Day in Philly Sports History for July 13th, 2026. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Monday edition of the podcast. Pretty good weekend in Philly sports, I think. We still don't have any LeBron. So all day yesterday, and I'll get into what I did last night later, but all reports were saying there's a line of them. I don't know if one person tweets it and then everybody follows up on it, but the rumors were that he was going to make a decision this week and the Sixers were still in the mix. Log on to Twitter, do one last little LeBron James search before I get on. And the first thing that pops up is Rich Paul was on the podcast with Ocho Cinco and Shannon Sharp and said, I don't know anything about that. Pair of lips will say anything, which actually is a very good quote. So who knows? Thought we were going to get some closure to that, but we'll see. And I honestly, I think at this point, it is what it is. I think he knows where he's going. He's just playing it out. And I would say this if he was here. Obviously, he's all about the attention and the big splash. Maybe he's waiting to throw out the first pitch at the All-Star game tomorrow. Who knows? But still, no LeBron James. I mean, you got Saquon Barkley making pitches for him. So we'll see. I think from a roster standpoint, it does make sense and it fits. And I made it perfectly clear. I am never was a huge LeBron fan. However, I think in this situation, it makes sense for him to come here. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, who knows how long we'll be waiting. It's kind of like when Brett Favre would, will he retire? Will he not? Now Aaron Rodgers. So we'll see. I think with the team they have in place, they're okay without him. I know they're kind of holding that last roster spot to see and nobody's really signed because everybody's waiting for that last domino to drop. But we'll see. But what we do have is LeBaron Philon Jr. with another strong Summer League performance, 24 points, 6 assists. I like the way this dude plays. I told you when they drafted him from betting a lot on Alabama. I watched him play a lot. I really like this guy. And I think it should be, and Gansey, we talked about it last week. Gansey said that he should be in the rotation, and the way he's playing, I really think. But with all that being said, let's get into Rewind the Weekend like we do every Monday, brought to you by Philly Goat. Go to phillygoat.com. They have you covered for your Philly sports apparel needs. Best shirts in the city. They're always coming out with something new. So go to phillygoat.com, use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. And I'd have to say it was a good weekend for the Phils. Didn't get off to a great start on Friday. Aaron Nola with a second straight solid start, but the bullpen, man, turned a close game into a blowout. It was 10-2. Now, everybody ripping the bullpen, rightfully so. I ripped them on Friday night as well. However, the offense only managed 4 hits, but they came back Saturday with a win. Derek Hill was the star, 1 for 3, an RBI, 3 stolen bases. That ridiculous catch, which if you haven't seen, go look up Derek Hill's catch from Saturday. And then Christopher Sanchez was solid again. Johan Duran was nasty, just absolutely nasty. Duran tied the Phillies record for saves before the All-Star break with 24. And then yesterday was just an absolute masterpiece of a game. Great way to end the first half. 5-0. Zach Wheeler was on top of his game, 10 strikeouts in 6 innings. JT turned back the hands of time, had 3 RBI. Phil's going to the break 2 games back. But overall, good weekend, good recovery. Because if you remember a couple of years ago when they got blown out by the A's heading into the All-Star break, it sort of signified, okay, maybe, and they started going down. But a good bounce back here for the Phils out in Detroit. And they did it against Tariq Skubal, doing small ball things. No home runs in this game. You saw bunts. You saw them taking advantage of the Tigers' mistakes. So good way to end the first half of the season. The other big stories, Christopher Sanchez will, in fact, get the start. Dave Roberts, thank you for doing the right thing. And you had to do that. I mean, there's no way. I think there is something to be said that the Miz could have earned it and deserved it. But the All-Star is an exhibition. It's for the fans. And if the game is in a team's hometown, you got to let that guy start. And I saw this quirky little stat. Christopher Sanchez is the first Phillies starter since Roy Halladay to start the All-Star game for the Phillies. Dylan Cease is starting for the American League for the Blue Jays. Dylan is the first Blue Jay to start the All-Star game since Roy Halladay. So kind of full circle, if you're into numbers and signs and whatever, pretty cool. Zach Wheeler was it. Excuse me, I felt that coming. I apologize. I hate doing that while I'm recording. But Zach Wheeler was indeed offered a spot on the All-Star team, which I don't know how respectfully it was, but respectfully declined, said I got plans. Sent a lot of people into a tizzy. And look, I look at it like this. He was, because they were like, oh, well, you cried and moaned and now you got it. And then you said no. And I don't think that's the point. I think the point he was trying to make is the rule is stupid. And even if he can't pitch, they still should be named. And that was, I think, was his point. And I called him out for it, and rightfully so. And then he was like, F you, I don't want to play in this game, which, again, I don't blame him. And if we're going to get an angry Zach Wheeler for the second half, like, I don't know what you got to do to piss this dude off before every start, but an angry Zach Wheeler is a dangerous Zach Wheeler. But Phil's head into the All-Star break. Did not think we'd be here 2 games out of first place after that 9-19 start, but Phil's in a good spot heading into the All-Star break, so they are off until Thursday. They got one of those quirky, because of the World Cup, they're in New York this weekend, one of those quirky Thursday, off Friday, Saturday, Sunday type weekends coming up, but enjoy the rest. Home run derby is tonight. Kyle Schwarber and Zach Wheeler. Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper will be participating in that. Overall, good weekend, though. You had the Futures game, the 3-on-3 thing, which I didn't realize it was on Peacock. This is where all the streaming things. But talked to some people down there. There were some cool moments with that. Jordan Mailata, good seeing Ryan Howard, Shane Victorino. But the All-Star Village, I took the kids down on Saturday. Awesome. I think part of it was we bought tickets last minute, so I didn't pre-register for some of the autograph things, which was fine for my kids because they wouldn't have known any of the guys anyway, because it was like by the time we went down, it was like Jamie Moyer, Larry Boa, Andre Dawson. But, I mean, Major League Baseball, the city, I mean, it was just phenomenal. So many fun things for the kids to do, and just so many things. We were trying to kind of see as much as we could and spend time while waiting in line. But it was a good time. The kids obviously got to do the radar guns. There was a softball display, so my daughter liked that. She enjoyed seeing the women's uniforms from the League of Their Own. The memorabilia for the auction was cool to see, like Babe Ruth's autograph. They saw how big Bryce Harper's feet are. They like that. So good time. So if you are going down to the All-Star Village this week, like if you're going to the Home Run Derby or the game on Tuesday, I highly recommend it. I would if you're interested in autographs, and then they had like a virtual batting cage. Those were the two things we didn't get to do because we didn't pre-register. I'd highly recommend making the reservations ASAP for that. But overall, it's the first time in 30 years. This is awesome that the All-Star game is here. But hopefully the Phillies get a nice little rest here. The bullpen can figure out what the hell they're going to do. And again, Dave Dombrowski, the ball is in your court. And then I'm going to do something I usually don't do here, but I'm going to give myself a pat on the back. I'm going to give myself a pat on the back because after the Leo Carlson offer sheet thing came out, I said, and I had a couple people on Twitter, Flyers people, rip me, say, no, you're an idiot. That doesn't make any sense. But I said, listen, it shows that the Flyers are serious players. It puts them into the conversation and serves notice to anybody else who's a restricted free agent or an unrestricted free agent for that matter, that the Flyers are back and they are players in the game. And a lot of people say, no, you're an idiot. You don't know anything about hockey. Stick to the other sports, blah, 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 blah. Well, I've heard a few different experts now since then say similar things to what I said, including, to me, the GOAT of hockey knowledge in the city of Philadelphia. Al Morganti said the same thing. So I'm going to pat myself on the back for that one. Thank you very much. All right, what happened this weekend in Philly sports history? This is pretty much going to be an all-star edition. Let's start with July 11th. First, we're going back to 1944, and Ken Roethlisberger becomes the first Philly to get a win in the All-Star game, pitching 2 scoreless innings while technically pitching for the Philadelphia Blue Jays. And if you're a loyal listener, you know all about, we discussed that at length about the Blue Jays. Then fast forward 6 years later to 1950, Robin Roberts becomes the first Philly to start an All-Star game. He gave up 1 run in 3 innings. It was a 14-inning game. Pudd'nhead Jones and Dick Sisler also had hits for the Phillies in this game. Jim Constantine pitched 1 scoreless inning as the National League wins it in 14 innings. And then we're going to go to 1967. Dick Allen hit a home run in the 2nd inning. National League wins the game 2-1 in 15 innings. Tony Perez hit a solo shot for the National League. So Tony Perez and Dick Allen account for the National League runs. Chris Short pitched a scoreless inning in this game as well. And then we're going to fast forward all the way to 1995. And it was the 2nd straight year that a Philly got the win in the All-Star game. This one was Heathcliff Slocum. He was one of 5 All-Stars for the Phillies. Mickey Morandini, Lenny Dykstra, Darren Dalton, and Tyler Green that year. But it was Slocum getting the win for the National League. And then in 2005, Bobby Abreu wins the Home Run Derby, setting all kinds of Home Run Derby records, which now that they're back to the old format that Bobby played in, maybe they're relevant. Because there was a point in time, because of the way it went, some of his records were, people were questioning him because it was different. I don't know. It was ridiculous. But he set records for the most in the first round, as well as total home runs hit in the Home Run Derby. And we know he and Ryan Howard are the only 2 to win it for the Phils. Can we add a 3rd one this year? How great would it be to see Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber in the final going head-to-head at Citizens Bank Park? You can't make this stuff up. And then in 2023, Rob Thompson becomes the first Canadian manager to manage and win in the World Series or All-Star game. Nick Castellanos went 1 for 2 with a walk and a run scored. Craig, I can never say his name. Craig Kimbrell, first Philly to record a save in the All-Star game. So good All-Star game for the Phils that year. And then on July 12th, not All-Star related, but still pretty impressive nonetheless, Sherry McGee stole 4 bases in a game, 3 of them in the 9th inning, 2nd, 3rd, and home. 1 of 11 total stolen bases for the Phils that day. And then 1946, another non-All-Star, Vance Dings hits the only pinch hit inside the park home run in Phillies history. Pretty impressive there. Now back to the All-Stars. 1994, Doug Jones, first Phillies pitcher in 50 years to start. No, that can't be right. Oh, yeah, because it was after. Sorry, my mind is late night last night. But Doug Jones, first Phillies pitcher in 50 years to get the All-Star game win. First since Ken Raffensperger, which we just talked about, and then Slocum got it the next year. But in 94, Doug Jones, first Philly in 50 years to get the win. Jim Fregosi managed that team. Mariano Duncan and Lenny Dykstra started. Danny Jackson joined Doug Jones on the National League's roster as well. And then in 2011, Phil's tie a team record, which has since been broken, with 5 All-Stars: Roy Halladay, Cole Hamels, Cliff Lee, Placido Polanco, and Shane Victorino. Shane and Placido were both down at the All-Star Village too at the same time as we were, but we were in line for something and they were all the way on the other one. But that is Rewind the Weekend, brought to you by Philly Goat. Go to phillygoat.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. All right, so yes, Friday's trivia question. I gave you one of them. Who are the only other Phillies other than Ryan Howard who won it to participate in the Home Run Derby? Be Jim Thome, Abreu, Ryan Howard, who did it 3 times, Chase Utley, Rhys Hoskins, Kyle Schwarber, and Alec Bohm. That was the one that mix people up a little bit. So Alec Bohm was in the Home Run Derby. All right, so quick housekeeping. Be sure to follow me on all social media platforms at Philly Jimbo, including the YouTube channel. Subscribe. It does wonders for the algorithm. So just go. Even if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, go subscribe to the YouTube channel at Philly Jimbo. And if you're a new listener, welcome. May have some new listeners. I'll get into that in a minute. I know I gave out business cards last night. I was able to eventually, I got to update my business cards, but change the handle for the YouTube channel so everything is uniform. But welcome if you are new. Don't forget to check out the Philly Hall. Steve and I talked World Cup and what the experience was like here in Philly. And then last night, I had the opportunity to be a part of a baseball history discussion down at the Pen and Pencil Club. Steve and I represented the Hall of Fame, and then Johnny Goodtimes and Brian Michael from Shive Sports were there. Great time, met some great people. It was fun, just talking baseball. One of those things where we were just, it was very, I enjoyed it because it was very laid back, conversational, not like stuffy or anything. So it was pretty cool. So if I did get a chance to meet you last night, I had a blast. Thank you for tuning in today. Hopefully you'll stay with us. But hopefully this is a start of a lot of good partnerships and things like that coming up. But really, really enjoyed my time down there last night. Turn heads and bring the hype with a custom hype chain from Lotwin. Perfect for youth sports, fantasy football, or just flexing your pride. Go to Lotwin.com, use the promo code TCCPOD for 10% off your order. That's Lotwin.com, promo code TCCPOD for 10% off. Get your custom hype chain and get hype with Lotwin. All right, July 13th. First, we're going to hop in the Wayback Machine and we're going to go to 2 dates because they involve the same player. And July 13th was a great day for Ed Delahanty. First, in 1896, he goes 5 for 5 with 4 homers, including 2 inside the park home runs, 7 RBI, but the Phillies still lose to the Cubs 9-8 out in Chicago. And for his 4 home run performance, he received 4 boxes of gum and a standing ovation for 10 minutes. No word and no confirmation. Nobody seems to know if it was Wrigley, if it was not Wrigley gum. I'm assuming it probably was, but I did try to look that up. But 4 boxes of gum and a 10-minute standing ovation for hitting 4 home runs in a game. And then 1 year later, in 1897, Phillies win a doubleheader against the Louisville Colonels. Delahanty went a combined 9 for 9 in both games, went 4 for 5 the next day, tying a major league record for consecutive 4-hit games with 3. And if you're keeping score at home, the record today is 4 with consecutive 4-hit games. So Delahunty, July 13th is a big day for him. And if you are keeping score at home, the Louisville Colonels did not become another team. They just ceased to exist. However, a lot of their players went to the Pittsburgh Pirates, including Honus Wagner, who got his first major league hit while playing for the Colonels. I'm not sure what happened there. All of a sudden, my whole screen went black. So hopefully this all works out. I'm going to have to try to piece that together. But fast forward to 1943. The All-Star game was played in Philly at Shibe Park. The A's were the home team. Dick Siebert represented the A's. He started at first base, went 0 for 1. Babe Dahlgren for the Phillies went 0 for 2 as the American League wins it 5-3. Now, this was a game that was majorly impacted by World War II, so that's part of why there wasn't as many stars. But it was the first Major League Baseball All-Star game to be played at night. It was a 9 p.m. start. It was broadcast on the BBC, so the troops over fighting in the war were able to see it. So I don't know if that was part of the later start time. But Ted Williams, Joe DiMaggio, Johnny Mize, Eno Slaughter, Phil Rizzuto, and Pee Wee Reese, who were all in the 1942 All-Star game, were not able to play because they were over protecting us in World War II. 14 of the 50 All-Stars from the 1942 team were in active duty. So kind of a patriotic type All-Star game, but was played in Philly, 9 p.m. start time, first nighttime All-Star game in history. And then fast forward to 1976, the Bicentennial All-Star game, one of 3 All-Star games that were played in Philly that year. The NHL and NBA also playing to celebrate the 200th anniversary of our nation. Greg Luzinski started in left field. Mike Schmidt, Larry Bowa, Dave Cash, and Bob Boone were all on that team, but it was dominated, the starters anyway, by members of the Cincinnati Reds, who received loud boos for taking the spots of the Phillies. This was the third All-Star game played at in Philly. First one played at the Vet. It was the first time that "O Canada" and the Star Spangled Banner were sung before the game. Gerald Ford threw out the first pitch. Dave Cash got a hit. The Bull went 0 for 3. Mike Schmidt and Larry Bowa both went 0 for 1. George Foster of the Reds took home the MVP as the National League won it 7-1. And then in 1993, the All-Star game was played at Camden Yards. Terry Mulholland got the start. 2 innings pitched, gave up a run, but the American League won it 9-3. Darren Doughton and John Kruk started. Dave Hollins was the lone bright spot for the Phillies, hitting a double for the National League. Now, if you pay attention, you should know the answer to some of these from today's episode. And if you are a loyal listener, we talked about some of these as well. What Phillies all time have started All-Star games? Hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line 267-495-8531. Leave a message, leave a voicemail, text me, whatever. But what Phillies have started in the All-Star game? You can also go to the Discord channel, which the link is in the description. Let's have some fun Philly sports talk today. And then finally, in 2021, JT Realmuto and Zach Wheeler represented the Phillies in the All-Star game out at Coors Field. Realmuto ended up getting the start, replacing an injured Buster Posey. Went 1 for 2 and hit a home run. Wheeler pitched 1/3 of an inning, but it was All-American League as they won it 5-2. But JT did account for one of those 2 runs in this game. All right, and to finish things off today, let's go to our ultimate greatest Philly high school hoops figure tournament presented by Beach Caddy. Go to beachcaddy.app if you're in Wildwood, Ocean City, Sea Isle, Avalon, or Stone Harbor. Let Beach Caddy take the stress out of your Jersey Shore vacation. They got the best beach carts on the Jersey Shore. They also move you in, move you out. It's going to be 100 degrees this week. Nobody wants to move their stuff in when it's 100 degrees outside. So let Beach Caddy take care of it. Go to beachcaddy.app. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. All right, to recap Friday's results, the Coatesville contingent was unable to move their boy John Tootie Allen on as the Cinderella story is over. It was Rasheed Wallace with 75% of the vote. Moving on, and let's go to the Suburban Regional. We have a 2-7 matchup. We have the 2 seed Elena Della Don. I've heard it pronounced both ways, Don or Dunn. We're going to go Dunn. Elena Della Don versus Mark Jackson. First, Ella Della Don went to Elena Della Don. My daughter's name is Ella. But Elena Della Don went to Ursuline Academy in Wilmington. She's 4-time Delaware State champion. She was consensus National Player of the Year, voted by McDonald's, USA Today, and Gatorade. She was 3-time Delaware Player of the Year. She is the all-time leading scorer for girls and boys in Delaware State history with 2,200 points. She set a record 80 straight free throws made in competition. She was a McDonald's and a WBCA All-American. She also won a state title in volleyball. From there, she went to the University of Delaware to stay close home to her family. She was 4-time CAA first team, 3-time CAA Player of the Year. She led the country in scoring, a 2-time All-American, went to the WNBA where she was Rookie of the Year, a 7-time All-Star, 4-time first team, a champion, 2-time MVP, a member of the 50-40-90 club, 50% from the field, 40% from three-point range, 90% from the free throw line. She won a gold medal, and she is in the basketball or getting inducted into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame this summer. She's in the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame, and what a career for Elena Della Don. Taking on Mark Jackson, who went to Roman Catholic League champion, first team All-Catholic League, all-tournament in the Alhambra Catholic Invitational Tournament, beat powerhouse DeMatha, averaged a double-double, all-city, all-state. He was the MVP of the City All-Star game, went to VCU, and then transferred to Temple after his sophomore year. 2 years at Temple, led them both years in scoring and rebounding, helped lead them to 2 NCAA tournaments. He was A-10 Player of the Year, was a second-round pick, went to Europe, came back, and had a solid NBA career. He was on the all-rookie team. And now he is a Sixers analyst on the pre- and post-game show. He does some work doing some college basketball for CBS Sports Network. But now it's your turn. Who moves on, Elena Della Don or Mark Jackson? Get your votes in any way you can, any social media platform, the Back to the Future voice and text line, Discord, whatever you got to do to get that vote in. But we're winding down the round of 32. But who moves on, Elena Della Don or Mark Jackson? Get those votes in. On this day in 2021, JT Realmuto hit a home run in the All-Star game, but the American League beat the National League 5-2. 1993, Dave Hollins was the lone bright spot for the Phils, hitting a double as the American League won that game as well. 1976 All-Star game was played in Philly to celebrate the bicentennial of our country. 1943 All-Star game was played at Shibe Park during World War II. It was the first night game ever in the history of the All-Star game. Now it seems like they're all played at night. And then in 1896, Ed Delahunty hits 4 homers in a game. 1897, he goes 9 for 9 in a doubleheader. So he must have really liked this day. We will be back tomorrow to update the Home Run Derby. It's going to kind of be an easy week. I'll be down in Ocean City, Maryland for Thursday and Friday's show. So probably sitting out, looking at the beach like I do when we go down there, which is it makes sense because it's an easier week. There's not much going on. Maybe we'll get a LeBron James update. I'm not going to hold my breath on that. Maybe Dave Dombrowski makes some moves. Who knows? But this has been This Day in Philly Sports History for July 13th, 2026. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Monday. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.